Welcome, everybody, to Michael Maher Live, the most originally named show on the internet because it's got my name and the word live in it, and you know exactly what we're doing. So there's really no guess of what we're doing here. We talk about how brands stay relevant in today's day and age. There's a lot going on, there's a lot being thrown at brands, and there's also just a lot of the basics that are the same that people need to do. And sometimes we forget to do those basics, like with Amazon. You got to have a great listing. You got to send traffic to the listing. Like doing those things are non-negotiables, but a lot of people get so caught up in all the shiny things that they forget to do those basic things. I think we have a basic thing to talk about today that is really important. And today on the show, I have Lindsay Borodenko. She is field execution and rep development with Natural Flow Consulting. Welcome to the show, Lindsay. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So, I help brands get started in retail, and then I help them through the journey of getting into the field, getting reps hired, trained, developed, and kind of rolling out a field execution system for them so that they can have good success in the field and kind of tap into all the opportunities out there.
Why is it so important? Like once you're in the store, you're in the store, right?
Yeah.
Why do you need to now go out and actually physically be in the store?
Yeah, so I think a lot of new brands really underestimate the importance of being in the field. So from a head office level, you get the listing and then you're told that it's rolling out to all of these stores. But if you don't actually have somebody going into the store checking for that, there's so many things that can go wrong. So simple things like it sits in the back room for months because it just gets hidden and nobody knows about it and it's not actually on the shelf. So it's not selling. Or maybe they've put the product onto the shelf, but the team didn't print out the tags. And then it's sitting there, it sells through, and then the product's not reordered because nobody was in the store checking for these little details to really ensure that your product has hit the shelf and is actually going to sell to consumers and be reordered.
In all honesty, some people that are working at these stores, like it could just be a job for them. They don't
Yeah.
care if something's executed exactly how it's supposed to be executed. Like they've got other things in their mind, like, oh my gosh, I have these bills, or I'm finishing school, or I have my kids to take care of. So as much as the store should be managed by the store manager, even that person, there's no guarantee that they're going to execute like they need to. And the best possible thing that you could do is not show up and say like, hey, I'm going to show you how to do this, but like
Yeah.
develop a relationship and say, hey, here, let me help you to get this thing done, right?
Absolutely, because relationships really are what drive your brand forward. The people who are working in the store are going to refer and recommend your brand if they truly love the product. So it's so important to build that relationship. Get in front of them, make sure that everyone in the store knows your brand, has tasted your brand and your product, or tried it if it's not a consumer in something you can eat or taste.
Right.
But just trial is such a
Like,
huge
don't eat
thing.
diaper cream is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah, but
Note
just
to self.
totally, and just that trial is so, so important. So it's, I think, really smart to have somebody on your team who can take care of demos and product trials and really managing everything that needs to be managed at store level, from, communicating upcoming promotions and giving them that reminder so that they are ordering product to make sure that their shelf isn't empty for the promotional period. Maybe they're going to then tap into additional displays throughout the store. So having somebody who really manages the relationship with stores is, I think, truly underestimated, especially for those brands that are just getting started. And I know it's a cost, but it's a cost that I think really pays off for the brand if it's
Mhm.
done well and it's done right. And you have somebody who knows what you can and can't do in retailer by retailer, because every retailer is different. Some, you can't place any POP marketing materials throughout the store. Others are very flexible and it's up to the store manager. So
Yeah.
just knowing all those little details, and I mean, we could talk about it for ages, all the
But even store to
opportunities.
store, like within the same
Yeah,
chain or company, like store to store will change. By the
totally.
way, I finally got it fixed so that I actually look like I'm on my name on the overlay and you're on your name on the overlay. Because
Oh,
for a
was it
second,
messed up before?
You were Michael Maher. Anyway,
Oh.
Riverside's great, but sometimes it gives us a hard time. Yeah, I mean, this is very anecdotal, But 20 years ago, I was working at Starbucks. I became a store manager. I went into the store. Store was a mess. My boss, she was amazing. She was like, "Hey, we need to clean the store up. Like, it's not rated well. There's all these problems, these issues." That was this one store that this one person was managing, and she just was not managing it well. She didn't care, and then she left. Well, I came in. I
Absolutely.
had to, you know, develop relationships with the people internally. But then I was like, "Hey guys, like we've got standards we got to meet, like cleanliness standards. We need to greet people when they walk in the door, like just all these things that needed to happen." But it was one person that was managing the store that allowed those things to happen. Going into these stores for a CPG company, or anyone who's got something sitting on the shelf,
Yeah,
you, if you really want your company to succeed, yes, it's a cost, but it's the difference between strategy and execution. Like you can have an
absolutely.
amazing strategy, but if you can't execute on that, like I could all day at Cartology, we help brands to grow on Amazon. All day I could say, hey, you need to spend on ads and you need to do this stuff. But if we can't actually go out and execute it and make people winners,
Yeah.
what I'm saying makes no difference when we're a service agency. So if you actually want to get your product to sell, you have to go out and I wouldn't say force, but like assist people in executing.
Absolutely, and it comes down to even just the simple things like shelf life, right?
Mm,
As you said, there's all these workers in the store. It might be their part-time job. I don't wanna say don't care, but they're not gonna care as much as somebody who's
sure.
representing your brand. So going in and making sure that product is rotated properly so that you're, first in, first out, not things getting pushed to the back, and then you're gonna run into all these expired products, right? So it's so important, just to get in front, build those relationships, and really execute. And that's exactly what it is. It's executing and it's tapping into all the opportunities from banner to banner, from store to store, and making sure that things are going smoothly. And I think that, yeah, as a small brand who maybe doesn't have a budget for a full-time person, bring in somebody like me who does it fractionally, or go out and do it yourself, right? You got to make time for this because it is so important. And I think what happens is that founders get so busy, dealing with all the paperwork and the
Mhm.
emails and everything that they need to do, operations, production, right? That field falls through the cracks really quickly because it is time consuming. It takes time to get
Sure.
out, to go to stores, to have these conversations, but it's so important. And
Yeah.
the opportunities are endless, right? Like you can have a successful display in one store and because of your relationship, maybe you can get some data and insights and you can actually create case studies and, have this data that you can then take to other banners or other stores and share that and kind of build that momentum. So if you don't have somebody doing that work, it's you're kind of not tapping into all the opportunities that are there.
I mean, 100%. Someone's not going to care as much as a founder.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're sold this story of being an entrepreneur or a founder, and it's like, the best way I can think of is just like, the Mark Zuckerberg scenario of like, you get this $1 billion company and it's amazing and everything's awesome. What you don't see, one are the hundreds of thousands of other brands or companies that failed that did not make it to that point. So your percentages are off. And you don't see the incredible amount of hard work that goes into doing anything worth doing. And we get this idea of like living in the lap of luxury. Well, like I can almost guarantee you, maybe not so now, but a lot of those people that are that way, meaning they've got really successful companies, they've got a ton of money, they're working a lot. They also just like timing was like incredible for some of these things. Like it just worked out for them. They also worked really hard.
Mhm.
So we're sold this like luxury, I think, lifestyle of like what being an entrepreneur is, laptop lifestyle on the beach. And I'm just like, that's not a real
Yeah.
thing. I know a lot of entrepreneurs. None of those entrepreneurs are, you know, just traveling the world and on their laptops and that's it. And everything is just amazing. Like life has obstacles and challenges. So you're gonna have to face those things. So I think a lot of people are sold that. And when you think about going into a store, that feels the opposite of, oh, I'm a, amazing, successful entrepreneur. Like, oh, I'm doing this like dirty work of getting in and
Yeah.
executing in the store, when it's like, that's like the most important thing
Important thing.
that
Yeah,
you could do as an entrepreneur, is sell your product. Like, once it's in the store,
totally.
sell it to the people in the store.
Yeah, and just even standing in the aisle and watching who's shopping that category, right? Like, go talk to the consumers, make sure
Yeah.
that they have tried your product. If they haven't, educate them on it. There's so many opportunities in store, and I think they just fall through the cracks and people forget about how important they are. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do for sure.
Imagine if you had an idea of who was buying your product, but then you actually went in the store, like you said,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh man, totally different people are picking up this product.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to think about how I'm selling this to people. Like, that's
Yeah.
field research. I mean, there are whole companies that all they do is consumer research. Like, you could go and do that without spending a lot of money. It's
Mhm.
anecdotal, but I've heard a lot of brands who, they've started small, they've developed relationships with those local retailers. Like, maybe they launched in New York and they're just dealing with specific retailers there, or LA, but they've been able to develop those relationships with the regional retailers, really get in, really build velocity, and that's given them leverage elsewhere.
Totally. And I think what happens too is the number of times that I've been in stores and then you see some people in suits and you just got to jump on all these opportunities, right? Go say hi, introduce yourself, give them some samples because you don't know who's going to be in store. You don't know who you're going to cross paths with. I've met regional managers, I've met,
Mm,
people from head office just from being in the store, and you're not going to get in front of those people. I mean, it's very lucky when you do get those opportunities
sure.
to chat, but it's just endless, the opportunities and being able to connect with your consumers, connect with the store staff who is restocking, reordering, selling your product. If
Right.
you have a good relationship and you're emailing them, "Hey, you have a promotion coming up, would love to do a secondary display. I can come in and do a demo." They're not gonna say no. If you're there and you're gonna be supporting their business and you're gonna be supporting your promotion, that's what they want. That's what retailers are looking for, is not just a brand who's, tastes great and it's on shelf and it's gonna sell itself. They want people in the store representing, supporting. They appreciate the help because if you think about it, there's thousands of brands in a store and like they can't give equal attention to
Right.
every single one. So if you have a good relationship, you're going to be on top of their mind, and yeah, that's what you want to do, right? So even we were talking about founders and getting in front of stores and whatnot.
Sure.
I'm from British Columbia, Vancouver, and I've heard many times from people in head office how much they love it when a founder actually comes and does a demo because
Mm.
nobody is going to talk about their product
Oh,
as
sure.
with as much passion and just knowledge and selling techniques like than the founder, right? And having that support and supporting your retailers in that way is so important. So if you're a founder, like either yourself needs to get in stores or you need to bring in some support to get out there and make sure that execution is running. And like you said, there you can have a great strategy, but if you're not executing, then you're going to lose that listing, right? So
Best thing it sounds like a founder could do is maybe get into a local store and do a demo. Like you said, stores aren't going to say no. They want to sell more.
yeah,
Maybe the cashier or the butcher maybe don't necessarily care
yeah,
specifically, but store manager I'm sure does, and it helps for a better experience at a time when experience in retail chains is I would argue at an all-time low. Like, good experience, it's
yeah,
often more machine based, which I don't have an issue with,
yeah,
but it reduces the need for people. And then the people that are there, a lot of times, I don't know if this is like a post pandemic thing, but it just seems like a lot of people, like the level of service has just dropped. Like, it's more noticeable now when I go in somewhere and they're like, "Hey, how are you? Will we be right with you?" Which is like
yeah,
so easy to do.
yeah.
And
It
it
doesn't
actually
happen.
helps alleviate, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It alleviates the pressure. You see a lot of people coming in, you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, we've got all these people like at a Starbucks." And the best thing we could do is say, "Hey guys, like, welcome in." And just say something.
Yeah.
Now they're recognized and they know that you see them. Like, the worst thing that you can do, and this happens all the time. You go in somewhere and people are just standing right up in front of you. They're talking to
Mhm.
each other. They're not recognizing you. You could
Yeah.
easily say, "Hey, like, welcome in. Give me 1 second." Say something to someone, then come back. Now you're recognized. Now you've made a connection with them. And that just doesn't
Totally.
happen anymore. So the experience is an all-time low. What better than a founder to come in and help make a better experience in that store? And then maybe that person comes back and says, "Hey, I last time I was here, I had a founder sample me something. Maybe I'll get that experience again."
Yeah, absolutely. And you actually just said something about how, like, all of these systems are rolling out where it decreases the need for staff, but
Mhm.
that's actually back to the point of field execution where a lot of things can go wrong because as much as we want, systems and whatnot to reduce workload, the amount of times I've seen a promotion supposed to be running, the digital tag hasn't updated for whatever reason.
Mm,
And if you're not checking those things, well, you're missing sales, right?
yeah. Beyond getting in the store themselves, someone could hire someone like you to be,
Yeah.
fractional field execution. What does that look like? Like, how does someone go about even starting that process? And then once they do, what can they expect?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many different avenues you can look for support. I always say that, like, I think an internal rep is like going to be your best option because it's somebody who truly owns that whole process, is knows everything going on in their territory and can kind of build on that momentum. But there's merchandising companies that do the basics of checking for promotions that are running, making sure your product's on the shelf, reorder support, right? So there's those avenues that you can go down, or you can look for somebody who's fractional like myself, who has that experience. And yeah, so sorry, what was your question?
Or just like what could someone do if they wanted to engage you? Like, what's the first step? And then also, what can they expect once they get that process rolling?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we would set up a call to discuss kind of what your needs are. And I work specifically in the Vancouver region. I'm just starting to build out my business. But yeah, we would meet, we would discuss what your stores, like where you are currently listed, where you might need support. Because I've worked in this region for so long, I have a good idea of which stores have the most potential, which ones are the kind of the highest volume stores, and where you should really be spending your time. So I can help educate the
Okay.
brand on that. And then, yeah, and then we get started together. And so there's one brand that I currently am working with, and my fractional work with them looks like about 5 days a month in the field. And I'm covering roughly 25 locations for them and continuing that outreach support. For email communication, all those opportunities, sharing knowledge and tapping into those opportunities.
Once they get in store and they start working with you,
Yeah,
how do, like, I'm sure when people make an investment in something, their question is always, what am I going to get out of this? What is
yeah.
the
What's the
return going to be?
ROI?
What is the ROI? What does that actually look like? Because I just know from my perspective with Amazon, we typically change people's strategy dramatically.
Yeah,
It goes from them spending on branded and discovery, all these things that their return on ad spend looks great, but they're not actually capturing more market share or growing their revenue because they're not spending on the non-brand things that actually build organic visibility. And when we do that, their ROAS goes down,
yeah,
their CPC goes up. And that's why their ROAS goes down, because their cost per click goes up, but their price doesn't change. But it's because we need to drive more velocity. And they're like, well, we're
absolutely.
spending 5 times more, but we're not seeing the sales increase. I'm like, heard. And we talked about this leading up to this many, many times. So I'm going to continue to reiterate it. But look at all the leading indicators of like organic rank and seeing share of voice and share purchases start to go up. And then once you get to top of page one, that's when you really see the velocity increase. And it happens time after time. The first, 4 to 6 months are the most challenging. What does that look like for you? And how do you set expectations correctly for people?
Yeah, so I think the first month is always like explorative. What's going on in the field? Where are the opportunities? Feedback. How much does the retailer actually know about your brand? And I think with the ROI piece, it's really varies brand to brand, right? A frozen product, there's way less opportunities for secondary displays. But there's a lot of things that you can do that are preventative. So, like I said, making sure those tags are up, because if your product sells through and a tag isn't there, it's not going to get ordered, right? So I think with the ROI piece, it's all about how you are taking in that data and information that you're collecting in the field and translating that in a way that's digestible for founders or leadership to really understand what's happening, where are the opportunities. So that is something that I've built, is kind of a field execution system. I have trackers. So it's a field tracker workbook where we gather all of the information from data visit, notes, where are the voids? So maybe the product's listed, but there's a couple SKUs that are not on the shelf, and we can sell them into that specific account in that specific store. So gathering all that information, you can then meet at the end of the month and look at all the opportunities and really strategize which one we want to tap into and lean into first.
Yeah.
But
Because you
yeah,
can't do everything.
no, you can't do everything. And it's kind of like, what is happening in your business this month that we want to focus and prioritize? Is it a seasonal SKU is launching and we need to sell that into these accounts that it's listed in, but we got to go to store level and make sure it's there? Or is it that from that first month we saw that your number one SKU is missing in 10 stores? Okay, do we want to prioritize sell in there? Where do we want to lean, and which accounts? What promotions are running? What store
Yeah.
has a event happening? Because they do this a lot out here, backyard events where they have a community barbecue and everything's on sale for 15% off that day. So tapping into those opportunities that you wouldn't know about if you didn't have somebody in the field, or at least somebody managing the relationships closely at store level.
You're basically, you need someone to help manage the community. You can't do that if
Absolutely.
you're not in the community.
Yeah, totally.
Which
Samples out
sounds
there.
so stupid and simple.
It's simple.
Keep it simple, stupid. Great advice hurts my feelings every time. But it's true. Like, you can't. There is a great devotional that I read every single morning called My Utmost for His Highest. I talk about it all the time with people, but the guy who wrote it, he's been dead for over 100 years, but his wife created the book posthumously. Anyway, he says, you certainly can be of no use where you are not.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Which makes a ton of sense. But a lot of times we as humans are like, well, if I could just have this, if I could just do this. And the reality is, okay, do you have that? Or are you in that place yet? No.
Yeah.
Okay. What can you do right now? Because you're not there. So you can't do anything in that place. What can you do right now? And if you're a new brand that's getting into a store, the best thing you could do is, if you're in a store, like, sell the hell out of the stuff that's in your store and make sure that stuff moves. That's now leverage that you could go to another retailer and say, hey, talk to the people at Erewhon. Like, my products move really, really quickly. Talk to the people at Albertsons. Like, my products moved off the shelf and we've got this much velocity. Now you've got a case study for the next thing. Like, build momentum on that. But I think a lot of people just think, I need to get into big retailer, or I need to do these things, and then I just need to grow. But a lot of times you don't go deep enough. You don't build roots, and that actually can cause things to die off.
Yeah, I think a lot of brands, they get really excited about doors, right? I have 100 doors. I want to get to 300 doors. But sometimes I actually find the approach of having less doors and making sure that those accounts are actually performing is so much better, because then you can actually build that momentum. But if you have 300 doors and your product's not selling, how are you going to support 300 stores? If you have 30 stores and 30 doors and you're selling fantastic in them, well, that momentum is going to help you sell to other retailers and build that distribution over time. So I think sometimes brands get really excited and, I got all these listings, but if you don't have somebody who's supporting them, it's not going to help you out in the long run, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Lindsay, if people want to know more, you've been great. If people want to know more about what you're doing or how to contact you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at naturalflowco.cpg, or you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is there, Lindsay Borodenko. I don't think there's many Lindsay Borodenkos out there. And my website is just naturalflowconsulting.com. So you can get in touch with me any of those ways.
Awesome. And you can get strategy and execution, which you need both. Because also execution without strategy is
totally. And what I'm building out right now, which I'm super excited about, is a field flow program. So that's where I actually come in and I train and onboard your new field rep and build out the system. So this is more so for brands who are hiring their first field rep and don't know what to track and look for in the field. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Hey, you can always learn from people that have been there before you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Lindsay. Thanks, everyone. That's all we got for today. I don't know where you got to go, but you got to go somewhere other than this because we're done. So see ya. We're out.
Thanks so much.